Hey, everyone, welcome to another episode of the Whiskey Crusaders. We're very lucky today. Have one of our very favorite brands here. Been waiting for a long time to have the Balvenie here. We got Brett, the North American brand ambassador here from all over the world. As we hear from his accent and his amazing stories quite soon here. But I was just turn it over to him because you guys hear me speak all the damn time. So, and plus, we're thirsty here at the castle this evening. And if you guys know you're going to be here later, then awesome. Don't watch the later because we're going to have the surprise one then. So wait. But other than that, I want to pour the 12 for us to start, and then we'll go into that. So how did you get into the whole whiskey industry in general?
Kind of a weird angle. I feel like that often happens with ambassadors is that we don't always come through from a direct path from, I guess, working in the whiskey space. So I was very fortunate when I was a child. My parents moved myself, my older brother, over to Southeast Asia. We were in Brunei for about 2.5 years and then up to the Philippines. Went back to Australia, got into the industry, moved back to the Philippines because I got sick of drunk Australians throwing pint glasses at my head, as they do.
Yeah, great.
And so moved back to the Philippines, started my restaurants, and got a random phone call one day from a friend that was working for William Grant in the Philippines, Ken, basically saying they had a Glenfiddich competition coming out. So a global competition called the World's Most Experimental Bartender. The idea of this is that you have a bartender choose a collaborator. Collaborator can be of any discipline. We've had watchmakers, we've had sculptors, all sorts. And this guy had an ice cream maker. So he called me up and said that his collaborator had pulled out last minute. Can I jump in? I'd never made whiskey or alcohol infused ice cream at the time. So YouTube's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
And essentially made this whiskey ice cream, entered into the competition and did quite well. Fortunately for me, the managing director of Southeast Asia, Sash, was one of the judges, as well as Struan, the global ambassador. So we had a chat afterwards, and they said, "We've got this role. We think you'd be a good candidate. Would you like to apply?" I said, "No, I have a business to take care of." And then Sash reminded me that the job would be that I was going to get to travel extensively. They'd pick up my bar tab everywhere I go, and all I have to do is talk to people about some great products. And so, sure enough, I sent my resume through a couple days later.
Seems like a good choice.
Yeah, so I made ice cream in the Philippines. It's the short story.
That's how Owen always gets into whiskey.
Exceptionally unusual on drunk Australians throwing things. Yeah,
that
sounds like us.
Sounds about right. I guess it was part of the 12. So what is the history of Balvenie? I guess 1892 is when it started back in the day.
Yeah, 1892. So it's the second distillery for William Grant and Sons. The first being Glenfiddich, about 5 years before. And conveniently, I was just at the distillery. Got back Saturday last week, and about 2 days before that, we spent some time with Andy Fairgraves, who is our resident archivist and historian. So he was actually taking us back through his recent research, because we've always been told that Balvenie came around to protect the water source and to expand production.
Right.
Turns out there's a little bit more. The original contract that William Grant had was with a gentleman called William Williamsons, who had actually commissioned every drop of spirit that came from Glenfiddich for a certain period of time was to be sold exclusively to him. Now, William Grant wanted to obviously expand his business and looked down the hill, saw the Balvenie estate, New Balvenie Castle as it was, which is a 4-story estate home. Retrofit Balvenie into that, and that was part of why it actually came around, was to be able to sell to other people, because it was a different distillery altogether.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Neither did I. It was news to me.
That's so news to everyone. Perfect. Of course, like I said, we chose the 12. It's just your standard doubles with around it's about 50 years, the double or something like that, the 12.
The 12-year-old, yeah. So we've had this now, it'll be 32 years it's been in production in this iteration. So it came out in 93. But it is technically the next generation of what was the Founder's Reserve. So David Stewart's original cask finishing. But that was a 10-year-old finished for 6 months in sherry cask, which you can still find around. They're delicious little numbers to sort of do a comparative tasting.
That's very cool.
But these are amazing. A bit of Scotch whiskey history, in that our friends over at Glenmoe like to talk about how they were experimenting at the time with cask finishing, and that's fantastic. They absolutely were. But as far as I've grown up, first to cross the line in a running race wins, and so we were the first ones to commercially release and actually put cask finished whiskey out there back in 1983. In the original version.
It's still wild. That's not that old. It seems like this for us. It's always been that way, but it really hasn't been. It's really a short time period with the finishing concept.
Yeah, this is such a great place to start as well, because I was chatting with Kelsey McKechnie when I was over in just out of Glasgow, and she was explaining and sort of, I guess, reiterating something Brian Kinsman had said to me years ago, that the 12-year-old Doublewood and the 12-year-old Glenfiddich are the benchmarks they compare everything else against.
I would agree. I mean, I think most people, especially with Glenfiddich, that's where most of us started our journey in Scotch. So that's, almost every bar has that one.
Yeah.
Good bars, of course, have Balvenie, but,
Yeah, well, can't win them all.
That's right.
Yeah, beautiful dram, that one. I find it interesting. Something that I'd always kind of known but didn't think was unanimous across all Balvenie is that we actually do peat every single expression that comes through. We just do it so slightly that you can't pick it up. In the 12 Doublewood, this is actually the one that I see it most pronounced because it's still so juvenile in regards to the greater portfolio. But even things like the 14 Caribbean cask, all of that base spirit is peated.
What's the ppm level, like 1 or 2 or something?
Yeah, it's minuscule. So what they'll do is we'll do peated runs on the floor maltings at Balvenie. And then they'll take small samples of that and actually blend it in with the new make that's going into cask. So instead of just going, this is peated to a small amount, they'll peat to whatever they need, figure out what the ppm is, and they'll balance it through.
Interesting. I knew Glenfiddich. I didn't know that Balvenie would too. That's wild. Huh, that's really cool. Learned something else new today.
I feel like I'm just dropping knowledge bombs now.
I know. Hey, there's a lot of stuff's not written down in books. It's the stuff you guys go to the distillery, which is great to learn.
I just saw Sugar Kitty 8. Is there such thing as a fitty lumpia? Lumpia is like a spring roll, like a egg roll kind of thing from the Philippines. I haven't seen that yet, but I have done pairings of the two in my my private life, if you will.
There you go. A week of peat, that is always a good choice for sure. We do have some of those here at the castle. Those are always fun. There's all sorts of, obviously, many more iterations than we're doing today. There's always something special you guys are putting out for sure. So I guess because you guys have your own malting floor, your own cooperage, you do everything there.
Yeah, we're in a really fortunate position being family owned. The family invested heavily back in the 50s to make sure that we were kind of self-sufficient. So we have 1,000 acres of farmland that we still tend to. That makes up roughly a yield of about 8% of the total grain that we put through the distillery. That's cool. We'll malt all of that on site ourselves. And then we'll malt roughly around 10 to 15% directly on site. And the rest of it comes from commercial maltsters just because of the volume.
Sure.
And then we have on-site coppersmiths taking care of the stills. We have an on-site cooperage. Those boys are busier than ever.
I can imagine.
I was chatting with Ian the other day, and he said on average they'll have 55 to 65,000 casks waiting to go through. They can only do, between the team of 11 fully certified coopers, they can only do about 1,000 casks a week. But currently they've got a surplus of stock, so they've got 95,000 casks waiting to go through, so 95 weeks worth of work.
Oh my god!
So if you're ever stressed about your day job,
shit, you're not kidding. How many barrels do you guys have laying down approximately right now?
It's gone down a little bit from when I was up there last year. So currently on site, and this isn't just Balvenie or just Glenfiddich. It's kind of a combination across the 47 warehouses. We have a little over 1.35 million that are laying, and some of that would be what they distilled today, and some of that is reaching up into the very, very high sort of age statements, some of which I cannot disclose because you never know what's going to happen with those.
You just never know. That's right. And then do you ever get a chance to go to your third distillery of the family? You ever get a chance to go over there at all?
To Kinninby?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kinninby is interesting. It's actually just a tin shed between Glenfiddich and Balvenie. It's on site. There's only 3 stills that are in there.
Okay.
Currently,
I knew it was small. It's not that small.
Yeah, currently the major use for that is they're just producing liquid for monkey shoulder.
Yeah, that's what I thought from monkey shoulder. Yeah.
But they have released Kinninby product, which I'm sure people have seen around.
They're delicious.
They also use it for Elsa Bay, which some of the if they're doing like a weird piecing just to do an experimentation, that will quite often go down. But currently shed whiskey, great term for it, currently isn't actually operational.
Oh.
Yeah, it was shuttered while I was up there, and it's just because it's the off season for them.
Sure.
But hopefully we'll see some cool stuff coming out of there. It literally is the weirdest thing because it's just Brian Kidsman's playhouse, essentially.
That's awesome.
If he has an idea, he goes in there, doesn't disrupt any of the other distillations going on. So it's a good time.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I know we got that 23 year here, and it's freaking awesome.
Yeah. Kinninby does some really cool juice, but we've actually got more than just the 3 distilleries in the north.
Oh, okay.
So we have the Girvan Grain Distillery, which is down about an hour south of Glasgow. It's actually very close to the Hendrick's Gin Palace. That's also where a lot of Elsa Bay production sort of happens.
Right,
in
right.
fact, the vast majority, the stuff up out of Kinninvie, to my understanding, is the experimentations for what they might put into full production. But they're producing liquid down there for grants. We also just purchased the famous grouse. And so we've now got that distillery or blending operation under our sort of guidance. I know nothing about it because I got enough on my plate. I'm not trying to, dilute the information stream.
Yeah. That's too funny. And then I guess you guys have what Tullamore do on your Irish side.
Yeah, if
Hendrix on the gin side.
If anyone goes to Ireland, Tully was listed as the #1 tourist destination in Ireland last year.
That's very cool.
For the experience. It's absolutely brilliant.
Awesome. So Ben wants to know, is there anything special about the 200 milliliter of the 14-year? Besides, it's
different from the 14. Besides 200, no. So that's actually a really interesting question because those are brand new to shelf. The reason I was in Scotland was I was out for our annual ambassador conference. They let us all get together and basically dick around for however long we're allowed to. So this year it was educationals with Kelsey and all that. But I was chatting to the team and asked, does everyone have these in market and how are they being received? They're only available, to my knowledge, in the US and Taiwan. So it is just regular 14-year-old Caribbean cask, just in a smaller travel size pack, if you will. And then Glenfiddich has a 14 for the bourbon barrel reserve as well. But that's a 375. But the juice is exactly the same.
Oh, you want to show them the cute little thing?
It's almost like product placement came into play.
Imagine that. Here's a cute little 200 milliliter just for you. So, in fact, since we're going to get that, might as well pour that one next while we're at it. We've seen flaws. How long has Caribbean cask been around for now?
So, again, I get told different numbers all the time. My understanding and sort of relative range is between 2010 and 2012.
I knew it was a newer product. I don't remember when it first came out trying it.
Yeah, I think the reason there's a bit of a misunderstanding is that we have done other rum cask editions over the years. So the big difference with this one is this is where we started producing the rum casks ourselves. Up until that point, if you see, the golden cask, if you see the 17-year-old rum cask, which is specifically Appleton Estate barrels, we were purchasing in from the Caribbean. With the 14 Caribbean cask, we had a bit of a change because of the inefficiency of buying in barrels. Our cooperage would have to basically tear them all apart, inspect every single one, and maybe only 40 to 60% of those barrels would be good for us to take and actually utilize. So I believe it was Ian McDonald, our long-running head cooper. He was the one that approached David Stewart. They had a very symbiotic relationship because they worked together for decades.
Sure.
And he said, David, this is a really tough program for us to keep up with because of the inefficiency. Why don't you've got kind of good at this whole flavor blending thing after however many decades.
He might be slightly good.
So why don't you go blend a rum? We'll bang up some Virgin American oak casks at the distillery in the cooperage, and we'll basically season those barrels on site. Take the rum out, and then 14-year-old bourbon cask liquid goes in. So that's how we end up with Caribbean cask.
So what do you do with the rum?
It's always the question I get. So what we'll do, the rum will cycle 8 times. So essentially, it will go through 8 different virgin casks for about 6 months on each. So you get an extra 4 years maturation. The condition for Balvenie rum before it comes in is it has to be 4 years matured already. And then beyond that, we don't care about provenance. It's purely about the taste profile matching what David originally blended.
Cool.
And then once we're done with it, we used to just sell it off. So kind of that MGP model of slap your own label on there, call it whatever you want. And
that works.
Tell the story of how you personally matured it in the Caribbean and Scotland.
That's right.
Now it's had a bit of a change of pace. We have a very, very creative global ambassador with Monkey Shoulder. His name's Joe Petch. Joe's been with the brand for a very long time. Really interesting character, but I believe the story goes that he was on what we call Camp Monkey. It's a big bartenders conference they do globally.
Awesome.
You have to win a competition to get an invite and the whole thing. Cool. But that year they'd taken bartenders down to South America. And the educational piece was they went out to a coffee plantation, were learning about coffee processing and the whole thing. And Joe, in his infinite curiosity, turned and said, "What are these big piles of red things on the ground?" And the guy said, "Oh, it's cascara. It's the cherry that sits around a coffee bean." And so he asked the guy, "Can I have some?" And he said, "Go for it, man. We use it as fertilizer. We mulch it up and send it out." And so sure enough, he bagged it up and illegally smuggled it back into the UK, I'm sure. Took it into his kitchen and played around with it and ended up making a cascara vermouth, which is delicious. But Took it into the office. Part of our contract working with William Grant is that any intellectual property developed becomes property of the company, which is fair dues. And so handed it off. It went to Leslie Gracie that started or created Hendrix. She perfected the recipe and made it commercially viable.
Awesome.
And a brand called Discarded was created. So that was the first iteration. And then the Balvenie rum now is the only one we use for Discarded. But what they'll do is they'll take it down to SBP in like just out of Glasgow. And they'll macerate previously discarded banana peels from the banana chip industry in the rums. They just let it soak. Banana peels hold a lot of really beautiful flavor. They'll take that out after about a week, and then they turn it into a banana peel rum. So if you ever see discarded banana peel rum, you know for a fact it's Balvenie Caribbean cask seasoning rum.
All right, there we go. That's interesting. You know none of those things. That's cool.
Yeah, I like the weird and wonderful facts about the distillery.
Well, that's why you're here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we want to hear. Is the weird one. I can read basically shit at the back of a bottle. That's nice and all. What the cool shit? All the stuff that no one ever hears about. It's exactly why we're here. That's why for a couple hours later this evening we'll be telling all these fun stories again, and of course a lot more in depth and all that.
My jokes don't get any better though.
That's all right. I can still laugh again, so it's all good.
That's my workhorse. All day, every day.
Absolutely.
That 14-year-old is such a great whiskey. The thing I've noticed traveling around the US is a lot of people have the preconceived idea that all Scotch is heavily peated and has that really smoke-driven note.
It's crazy. Yeah.
This is my conversion tool every day of the week. Is you don't drink Scotch, try this.
Yeah, we find a lot of like bourbon drinkers. They'll drink this and they'll convert. Oh, it's also great with a cigar, of course, as well.
Yeah. It's just. It goes really well in an espresso martini. Sub this in for the vodka. Works.
That sounds fun. Not done that.
I actually learned the term here in Texas, a patio or porch pounder as a cocktail.
That's lovely.
So instead of if you do it to like a margarita spec,
I
use Caribbean cask. And then instead of like a Cointreau or a like a triple sec, I'll put in a peach or an apricot liqueur or a brandy. And then basically make it like a margarita. You just sit there and crush them. It brings stone fruit flavors out. It's beautiful. In the summertime, that is danger zone.
Absolutely. Yeah, like Jason says, Belgium's one of go-tos for getting them non-single in the Scotch. Absolutely. Definitely a crowd pleaser. Yeah, it's like you said, it changed a lot of people's minds and worlds. Like, like you said, not peated.
Yeah.
Which is great.
But technically it actually is.
Technically it is.
Crazy,
yeah, you're saying,
you don't get that.
Right.
It's a really interesting sort of masking of that phenolic note that should be theoretically floating around that just isn't there.
Right. Yeah, it's great stuff. But yeah, gone through many bottles of these, to say the least.
Same.
So it happens. Someone has to do it, right?
Oh, it's quality control, really.
That's right. You want to do the 16 next?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Now this is one of your newer products on the market.
Relatively, yeah.
What about a couple years or so now?
Yeah. So this launched when I was still living in Singapore with the company. I was super excited because for me this is a really summer-driven whiskey style, and it was such a step away from what we were seeing Balvenie deliver. So a lot of the time when we're talking about Scotch, we talk about rich caramels and deep oak flavors and red fruits and all that. This has got such a vibrance to it. So there's beautiful fresh ginger root. I get a very specific. We're getting dram requests. I get this very specific citric note, and it is the white pith between the fruit and skin of a pink grapefruit is what comes through for me, and then it's backed up with this beautiful butterscotch sweetness.
The only thing is they made the 16 so small.
Yeah.
I don't know. What was the choice on that?
It's because they invested in making the French oak blue. Had to spend the money somewhere, right?
That's pretty funny. So, of course, French oak being a significantly how long is it in the French oak?
So this goes in the Pinot de Charente cask for about 6 months. What's really wonderful with this in regards to the US market is this was actually conceptualized by one of our ambassadors. So Lauren Cousin, some people might know him because he's actually been floating around with the company for about 12 years now, I think, 12 or 13 years. But he had these really fun memories from being a kid growing up in Scotland, and his family would go on vacation down in the Cognac region, which is where they make Pinot de Charente as well. And so when he was a youngster, his family would let him have really small little, taste when he was 14, 15 years old. Because back then, drinking in France started when you were 12.
Yeah, obviously.
And so sure enough, he had these beautiful memories, and he was the one that actually pitched the idea to David Stewart. Then took them 8 years to find the right maison for us to pull the casks from that actually made sense and would have sustainable supply for us to make it into a full-time product.
Okay, because this is not part of your core lineup, right? The 16 is now.
Technically, it is, but it's kind of like the step sibling that is there, but not. The 12, 14, and 21 Portwood are the three key components, and this, because it's a smaller production run, it's advertised in there, but it's a little bit harder to find. But it's part of the cask finishes range.
All right.
I just saw all white wine. So incorrect. I can definitely tell you what happened with this one. So the wine style on this is Pinot de Charente, which is a French fortified wine style. Really bizarre. It's protected by its own region, which falls around the same lines as cognac. But we specifically use red Pinot de Charente for producing this. Now, I made a jackass of myself when I first presented this in Singapore because I very confidently, based on the tasting notes, thought it was going to be a white Pinot de Charente. I hadn't heard of the category before and had to go and educate myself very heavily.
It's delicious Pinot de Charente.
Yeah. It's an amazing category. It's very much a sleeping giant. It could be as big as a vermouth or a sherry or something. But what's really interesting is if you find really early batches of this that came through, the coloring on it is a lot lighter, and as the wood's being stained more and more, depending on what we're getting in. It brings more of that out. But I agree, it's very much a white wine sort of profile coming through in there, and that's that fresh vibrance. But it deceived me as well. Now,
because you don't get as much usually the French oak get that more toastier, heavier French oak, but you don't really get the influence. It's more like the Pinot de Charente itself that seems to influence this instead.
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing happen with that color change is that we're getting older, because you can age Pinot de Charente up to 10 years. So I think some of the casks we're getting have been holding Pinot for a little bit longer. So we're getting more of that tannic stain coming out of the wood.
Interesting.
An interesting one on that white variant, though, is we did release last year super limited edition 18-year-olds called the Curious Casks. That is actually 11 years in a bourbon cask, and then 7 years in a Pinot de Charente. So that is actually a white variant of Pinot de Charente, and the taste variance between the two, because it's such an extensive finish. That one tastes like Christmas cake, treacle, like it's really dense. That wine note really sings out of it, but you wouldn't know it's a white.
That's cool. So do you get a lot of French oak for you, or do you mostly just get the wine for you personally on it?
I get the wine notes. I mean, French oak for me, I'm thinking of things like the Glenfiddich 23 Grand Cru, 26 Grand Curon are probably some of the more recent additions that came through.
Right.
But the one thing that I tend to pull from French oak is a butteriness to it. Especially that 26 Grand Curon on the nose for me smells like breaking open a freshly baked croissant, like that butter steam coming off. With this, because it's got so much that fresh vibrance in there, it's like a little bit more of a white wine. Again, it deceived me when I presented it to the crew.
Because I think that's what most were looking for, was that, and then it's like, oh, it's this other way, which is fine. Just not what we expected. Because a lot of us have our experience with, I don't know if you ever had the Balvenie French oak or not. But tonight we are having some.
Oh, okay.
We'll solve that problem. Hey, Logan, after the stream, he needs some Balvenie French oak to try. It's very important. So, just because that really punches the French oak. So, we'll do that after the stream, though, for you.
Hell yeah.
All right, so let's see. We're going to go to the 19 or the 21. What's your preference on that?
All right, can we start here?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking,
I'm not normally one for sticking true to a vertical.
Okay.
Let me just product place real fast while I unwrapped.
Beautiful. This is one of probably my favorite, most distinct boxes on the industry. Is like, if you see this, this is the 21 Forward, because it's just freaking awesome. I love the wrapping and the paper. It's like one of those first premium scotches a lot of people bought.
Yeah.
And so it's just gorgeous.
So I got a fun story while you're pouring these out. When I was at the distillery, we had David Stewart join us because we had about 13 bartenders from all over the world that were with us. And the one question that I received countless times over the years, after 48 years as the malt master, what does David think is his best whiskey?
Oh, I do like to hear that.
So, people assume it's going to be a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, something crazy limited edition, the first Red Rose, something that had this really interesting moment. Without fault, every single time, David tells you it's the 21 Portwood. Now, I was told recently that when David retired from the malt rasser role, he announced that we were doing this beautiful 60-year-old expression, sold for the bargain price of just $170,000. And they actually had another cask from his start date from 1962. And so they said to David, as a gift from the family for your dedicated service to the distillery, we have this for you. And he very politely declined and said, instead of that, can I just get a lifetime supply of 21 Portwood? So now, apparently, he walks into the distillery gift shop.
Seems like a pretty great deal, to be honest. I think
he'll snag one of these off the shelf and just walk out without speaking a word to anyone.
That's hysterical.
That's his favorite one, and for good reason. The sheer balance on this is incredible. For the price point, I think it is one of the greatest drinking experiences in the Scotch whiskey world.
I love this.
I describe it as linear in that it just stays so consistent on the palate. It just draws a straight line, but it's different flavor profiles. The mouthfeel has that creamy note in there. It's just beautiful juice.
That's the question I guess they want to know is why not 46? Why at 43?
I think it just comes down to what was trending at the time. This bottle came out in 95.
Yeah, these were your older expressions. Yeah.
Yeah, and the idea of drinking the high proof, we were having this conversation with Kelsey recently. The idea of drinking high proof has really come from the American market.
Right.
And it's been kind of developing over the last 10 years where I had my socks blown off the last time I was in Houston down at Reserve 101.
Yeah.
Good old Mark behind the bar there poured me something that was 160 proof or something ridiculous.
Thanks.
My nostrils didn't have any hair on them
I
afterwards.
bet not.
But it's something that's a big discussion for us at the moment because we have to follow, without sort of sacrificing what the brand stands for.
Right.
We have to follow what our customer base also wants. I don't know this for a fact. Don't post this online that I said that this is what's happening.
Right.
But it is on their radar. Whether or not that means we see a higher proof American market exclusive,
I think
which would be great. Amazing.
I think it's going to be Scotch in general. That's the fact.
Yeah, the trend's going to have to come.
It's going to have to go up, which is fine by me. So that is an interesting question. What does it go into the barrel at? What proof does it usually hit the barrel at? Any idea?
How long is a piece of string? It's kind of the answer that I give for these sorts of questions. And the reason being is that we pull the heart of the spirit between 74 and 61%.
Okay.
So it could vary anywhere between that.
Sure.
But as for what part of that distillate is going directly into this, we don't really know because they'll pull an entire run that will go into the store and then they'll pull it as they need. So it'll just be a combination of all.
Okay.
It does vary. But realistically, it could be anywhere in that spectrum. I'd sort of assume take the average, and that's what you're looking at most of the time.
Seems fair. Still great stuff. It's interesting to see because I got some buddies that they might bring some later. They're like some of the original batches of this. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, So again, we'll go back to my fun facts because I like talking about these things.
Absolutely.
So one of the little known components of producing this whiskey is the port pipes that we take. David's one condition apart from the quality of the wood, they have to have held port for at least 30 years before we'll utilize them.
Crap.
So what we're looking for is that wood profile to be really gentle.
Okay.
Which is why you don't get this massive influx of just port wine flavors.
Right.
Nice. Yeah, it's just a gentle caressing. The way I describe it is it rounds the edges. This is such a beautiful sort of capturing of flavor.
Absolutely.
That just releases itself at its own pace. And I think that's purely because we use such heavily used port pipes.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's delicious. One of my all-time favorites is probably 21. So
yeah, someone told me this is what they use to make their espresso martinis, and I just about slapped him. It's
okay.
Purely,
it's very expensive. I mean, good for you, yeah.
But it's just such a delicate whiskey that would be so overpowered in my books. And I think sometimes I have a story for you because I was about to shit on people that do things like this. Sometimes you do it just for the story, and then I just remembered I did this last week in Abelauer with a friend, Lauren, who her and her family own this beautiful hotel. If anyone goes up to Speyside, you want to be in the heart of the whole thing. The Dowens Hotel, amazing spot, beautiful whiskey library, kind of similar to what's behind us actually. Nice. But Lauren saw that we came in. She's a friend of the distilleries and knows all the ambassador team. And so she brought out a bottle that was gifted to her by Ian Miller. Now, if anyone's had the Week of Pete, that was Ian's, brainchild back in 2002.
Yep.
He was the global ambassador for Glenfiddich for a number of years. He was the distillery manager for both brands.
Okay.
And he had a what we call a an Ian special, which means he snuck in and basically snagged a bottle
Nice.
of 40-year-old Glenfiddich. And so, being that I was with the the Balvenie ambassadors, most of them don't work on Glenfiddich in their respective markets.
Okay.
I, on the other hand, have worked with Glenfiddich consistently since 2019, and so I've been overexposed, and I declare myself a spoiled brat all the time.
Yeah.
So I turned to Lauren very quietly and said, "What do you think that would taste like in an espresso martini?" And she was like, "Haha, very funny." I was like, "Oh yeah, haha, jokes." She goes, "Oh, you're actually serious?" I was like, yeah. She goes, "Perfect. I've never even thought about it. Let's do it." So she was on my side, and so she and I got to share a nice little 40-year-old espresso martini. I'll tell you what, tasted good.
I bet it did. Very expensive, delicious. That's awesome.
It's not expensive when it's free, right?
No, it's right. It's free use of. That's the best kind. Absolutely. Justin, when are we getting the 14-year week of Pete back in the U.S.?
We're not.
Sorry,
unfortunately. So this was taken out because it was in that weird sort of space where it was too peaty for those that don't like peat, and it wasn't peaty enough for those that do.
Okay.
And so the volume of sales just didn't match. Here comes the water.
Here's the cart. Well, wait a second.
So yeah, essentially, unfortunately, that one's not going to come back in. What you can do is still find it in travel retail. So if you're traveling internationally, what they have there is quite cool. It's a 19-year-old version. The difference between the 14 and the 19 is that the 14 is just American oak.
Okay.
The 19 has peated sherry cask in there as well, so it's a little bit more dense.
Okay. Yeah, I found the 19 randomly underneath my dining room table. I guess I bought one.
There you go.
I was like, cool.
Well,
that was a fun one.
If anyone's in Scotland, I will tell you that there's a secret 17-year-old week of peat. So I bought one when I was over there, which is sitting in my house in LA, and I did a quality control on it the night that I got back because I had my 21-year-old cousin in town and had to show him a big dog.
That's right.
But the 17-year-old was a bit of a COVID baby, if you will, in that it was meant to be the original version that went into travel retail.
Yeah.
They started bottling it, and a week later, the entire world shut down, and so they shut it off at about 1,500 cases. So you can only get it at the distillery now.
Wow, that's wild.
What a dream.
Absolutely great stuff. So what do you think? 19, I guess, makes the logical sense to go to next.
17 has been a go-to. Is that the week of Pete 17 though? Not the double wood.
Oh yeah,
I'm just seeing Tough Shells.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, it did get released for a period. It's just whatever we have left in our own company stocks is now distillery only.
It's okay, Jason. I still find whiskey around my house on a regular basis. Happens all the damn time. Yeah, we compete. Okay.
All right, there you go. Dustin's the one to chase on that. If anyone needs a sample,
apparently go to Justin's house. Problem solved.
Never liked the double wood. That's good. That's more for us.
That's good because I love that one. So. To your prerogative on that.
All right, is it time?
It's time. All right, I'm getting a new glass for this.
Excellent. I'm gonna do a little rinse on this guy.
I found, spring makes flow. You didn't know you had once. There you go. It was awesome. It is awesome when you find stuff like this.
Beautiful. So, first and foremost, one of the cooler packagings that we've put out. It's got a really fun image of Ian McDonald's on here with the Cooper's tools on the actual bottle. Ian himself says that the artist messed up because he drew him too tall. Because a bourbon cask comes up to about mid-height on Ian's chest. He's a low center of gravity individual, is how we'll describe him. But yeah, this is a great one because it's limited release. So what's in the US? There's no more of this coming. This is also the very first time that we see Kelsey sign out.
Her first. Yeah,
this is the very first edition that she ever released flying solo without David's sort of guidance on the release. So. I weirdly get to say that I had a small part to play in the development of this.
Okay.
In 2022, the year before it was released, Kelsey actually sent samples of the early blends of this up to the distillery for our ambassador conference, asked us to sample it as a group and then send notes back to her. And at the time, there was a slight imbalance where it would, if you added water, it would hit an acrid note on the back of the throat. So we sent that back to her. She dialed it down, and that's what we have now. So I feel like my very unimportant opinion was actually heard for once. But this is just I think the very cool thing with this is it exposes Kelsey's style of making whiskey, which, this could have gone full sherry bomb.
Sure.
And that it could have just blown your palate to shreds because we do have juice like that on site. The way she's blended this between the cask she's used is it goes to a certain point of sherry like forward, and then it stops and kind of says, I don't need to yell at you. I've said what I needed to say. Take it in, absorb it. I'm just going to mute myself a little bit and sit back.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking great. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, really, really good dram, that one.
Any idea, like approximately how many bottles they made of it that should be available?
It was
limited edition.
No, it was a decent amount, but this has been in market now since September of 2023.
Okay, so it's been around a little while.
It was a one-time. It wasn't like we were continuously making this because we just don't have the kind of stock with Balvenie. But what I do know is we don't have any more coming into the country.
Okay.
They've told us things like that before, where they've been like, "Oh, no more," and then
magically shows
the 12-year-old single barrels reappeared on shelves, and you're like, "Oh shit,
those are good."
Well, now I have to go backtrack. However, from talking to Kelsey herself, she said we just don't have the liquid stock. If they were to release anything in a sherry cask, it'd probably be based on the demand for it, the 15 single barrel, but that is not slated anytime soon.
Okay.
So yeah, unfortunate, but what's out there is out there. Highly recommend if you haven't tried it to get your hands on it because it is a stunning whiskey.
It's pretty freaking great, to say the least.
Yeah, I take my hat off to Kelsey. I think we worked out, she's 34.
Up to 34 now?
Yeah, she just got back from maternity leave, so she's had her first child. On top of that, she also got married in 2023. So she had a couple big years taking over from David Stewart. She could have come out and played it super safe and just done, a golden cast. The 12-year-old she released for travel retail. Just a simple cast finish. Instead, she really wanted to throw down and say, I can play with, those that are in the big positions. And doing a straight sherry cask is not what Balvenie is known for.
Right.
So, she really put it to the wall. And I think she has impressed quite a number of people with what she's released.
Of course, there was that always. Now, like that gorgeous 15.
Yeah.
That we all love in a sherry. Is that going to come back, or is that we SOL on that one? Or?
No, the single barrel program is point of contention because the ambassador team always fights the good fight for all y'all.
Love that stuff.
And that 15 on its own is just such a banger of a dram. But the 12 single barrel is back in full production.
Okay.
We're not running out anytime soon in the US. The 15 and above, we're not seeing anytime soon. I was fortunate to have a 25 single barrel with David Stewart at the bartender's trip, and was sort of grilling him, and he's like, I don't know anymore, I'm not the guy. So we put it to Kelsey, and she said, no, what's out there is out there, and that's it.
That's awesome.
A bit of a shame, but it's all right. We got plenty of other stuff.
You do have a large portfolio, so I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, I was trying to work out the other day. I counted. We currently have 12 single barrel, 12 double wood, 12 sweet toasted American oak, 12 Montilla, which is just released.
I was like, I don't even know what that one is. Okay,
not coming to the US, unfortunately. Which I tried it recently. It's absolutely delicious, and there's another 12 on the way. But I can't tell you anything about it yet because they'll take me out the back and shoot me.
All right.
But then, people know that we jumped to the 14. There's actually a 13-year-old muscatel finish, but it's only available in Taiwan. Then you go 14 Caribbean cask. You've got 14 week of peat. There's 14 curious casks as well, which is an accidental crossover between straight bourbon cask and week of peat liquid. You've then got 15 single barrel. There's basically multiples of every age statement going through the vertical up till about the 21-year mark.
Okay.
And that's just a 21. Then you've got 25 variants. You've got 27 Coroni casks. You've got 30s. You've got it just continues on. It's a lot to take in. I realize also I look like I'm wearing my pajamas. I swear this is a good shirt.
It's nice. Hey, look, it's for good whiskey. It's fine.
Yeah.
You can drink in your pajamas. It's cool. I've done it before.
Well, the last time I was in Houston, we did a program called Balvenie at Bedtime.
That's awesome.
Where we went down to see our pal at Permission, Mr. Peter, and gave everyone bathrobes and sleep time masks and hotel slippers and started tasting at 10 p.m. And I just waxed poetic about stories of the distillery while we drank really good whiskey.
Great. I like this plan.
Let me plant that guy down.
We can do a lock-in at the castle.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll bring your own cot.
For educational purposes.
Right, of course. That's a beautiful bottle. It's a beautiful bottle. I haven't had this in a long time, so I'm very excited to get to do this again.
It was snowing today? Is Sugar Kitty 8 in Texas?
No, these were all over the world.
All right. I was going to
They're-
say, my God. I did see a car last night when we were driving back from Oklahoma City that had snowpack on the roof.
Oh, wow.
So we couldn't work out where they come in from.
Where's mine?
Dustin just said that Curious Cast of the Peat was awfully nice. I agree, but it's a bit of a crapshoot because the way that's bottled is it's all single barrel. And so I had the first one that I tried was in Boston last year, and we opened that up and it almost nosed like an Octomore. It was so pungent. And then when I went to Paris last year for Whiskey Live in September, it was just straight American oak. There was no peat or phenolic notes coming through at all. It's really wild.
Interesting. He's in New Jersey.
There you go. 25. So this is a question that Eric and I were talking about when I first got in today. The big question: whatever happened to the Ton series? It died. We stopped doing them. It was
They're gone. Huh?
Yeah, David Stewart special. That was such a pet project of his. But we learn everything every time we go up to the distillery. And so we were chatting. We're in Warehouse 24, which is the original foundation footprint of the distillery.
Okay.
So when it was still the 4-story estate home back in the 1800s.
Okay.
And we're sitting next to Ton 1509 because it still sits in there. And I was like, why do we keep it? And they were like, well, because we use it. I was like, for what? 25-year-old. So it's now the marrying vessel for producing. There he goes. Yeah, you mentioned the word and it shall appear, right?
I mean, I did bring this specially from home today just for us to drink.
Yeah, beautiful.
This is the batch 3.
Oh, hell yeah.
Which is my favorite batch with them. So
yeah,
I don't think it would be sad if we had to drink this on air.
Twist my arm.
Terrible thing to have to do. So, as you can see, it's been well loved.
Well, the cool continuation from the 1509 to the 25 is that 25 obviously is our minimum age statement, but that's such a great sort of segue because the minimum, I believe, for the 1509 was 25 years for the barrels that were going. It was either 20 or 25. And so you're kind of seeing that continuation of, these high age whiskeys being kind of combined. Because the 25-year-old is a combination of 5 different styles of oak. So about 30% of the liquid's coming from sherry cask.
Okay.
The remainder of that is variations of American oak. One of which I believe was previous of the sherry casks was the ones that we used for the cask finish on the 17 double wood.
Okay.
If I'm correct. I swear I'm not bullshitting on purpose.
We'll just say you are. We wouldn't know the difference either way.
No, Kelsey told me that a long time ago and then was like, don't tell anyone. I was like, you're 6 months too late to tell me not to, mate.
Oh, yeah, the Ton 1401s are good too. Absolutely.
Yeah, those are like finding hen's teeth these days.
Yeah.
At least for a decent price.
Yeah. Good luck on that.
That 25 though, I was chatting. I finally got to tell David after how many years of presenting this? I think it came out in 2021, 2022.
Okay.
But I finally got to tell him that I'd been ignoring our global marketing team's verbiage on how to describe this. And, the way that I introduced the 25 is this is David's final love letter to the distillery. Okay. Because the Rare Marriages collection was his final collection that he capped off with a 60-year-old, which technically falls under that, even though it's not a marriage.
Sure.
But it's Balvenie to its absolute core. It's that sweet sort of oozing honey flavor. It's such a great whiskey.
Absolutely.
One that if I'm ever trying to really impress someone without completely destroying the bank, and having my boss scream at me, send me to HR, that's the one that comes out because it's Balvenie to its absolute best.
Yeah, a great story with the 30 though. So a local bar here, I don't know, they may be gone now. Ron's Tavern had the 30 for a long time. So we drink it on occasion because it's delicious. Well, one day I'm in there talking to a couple of guys and started talking them into drinking really great scotch. And then the bartender said, he called me the next day. He says, that was the best. He goes, I made more money that day from those two guys than I did at the Super Bowl. They drank half a bottle of the 30.
That'll do it.
So he's like, it was the best day ever. Thank you for talking to those guys and drinking that.
Yeah.
He's like, that's the best scotch ever, mate, because the 30 is freaking awesome.
I swear I'm not a psycho for espresso martinis, but I have key moments throughout my entire career with the brand.
Martinis,
So our old ambassador for Balvenie that was actually out here that I inherited the role from was actually based in Singapore when I first moved out there. And so Neil had to take me for an induction into Balvenie when I first joined. And he got fresh off a flight. I think he was coming from Bangkok. And he looks at me and goes, "Oh, shit, new guy. Meet me in the bar in 20 minutes and we'll do an induction." So normally when we do an induction with the ambassadors, it'll be like, here's the 12-year-old and it tastes like this, 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 and this. Neil is just another breed of human.
Yeah.
He showed up and he pulled 6 samples from the DCS Compendium series. I think at one point we're drinking the 1971 sherry cask, which is like 35,000 pounds of bottle now as a single frame.
That's cool.
I was like, wow, this guy has some pretty yum stuff. I had no idea what I was drinking at the time.
Yeah, like, this shit's great.
Yeah, and then he turned to me and goes, "Oh, all right, I got a lunch booking, let's go." So went to his members club. Next thing apparently I was a very important Dr. Such and Such client, and bottles of wine are hitting the table. It's a very eye-opening experience. But we went down, funny enough, I have their logo tattooed on my arm because they're good mates, but the restaurant doesn't exist anymore, so that discount's long gone. But we walked into Tippling Club in Singapore, and sure enough, Neil looked at Andy Loudon, who now runs Scarf's Bar in London. Andy looked back at him, kind of did it's the regular nod. And so Andy just started banging up 30-year-old Balvenie espresso martinis, and that was my very first induction to the brand.
Oh,
so,
my God.
Yeah, not a bad job.
No.
I'm seeing other people wanting to get on the induction process as well, and I feel you.
Absolutely. Seems like a solid choice. Oh, it's pretty freaking great.
Yeah, not terrible.
So what else do you want to know about Balvenie?
I can tell you that I can't tell you a lot. We have something very, very exciting, not just for the distillery, but for the Scotch whiskey world at large. That's going to move the needle next year coming. Cool. I can't tell you anything more than that. We were having some very intense discussions about what's coming. Multiple formats or age statements coming through, but we've got some really exciting products on the way for next year, as well as a single hyper limited release that will be one of those sort of deathbed drams that I hopefully will get to try one day.
That sounds awesome.
The difference in the 25 and 30 remarriages, seems the market thinks the 30 is a massive step up. Yeah, so the 30 is a massive step up in price, I can tell you that much. And it comes down to scarcity. To try and take a cask beyond 21 years is actually a massive challenge for the distillery, because the fluctuations happen really quickly and a barrel can turn immediately. The other thing is that you'll see that the cask ratios start to shift very slightly. So you get a little bit more sherry nuance coming through in the 30-year-old, but it's a lot sweeter. So I think that sweetness carries a bit more of the flavor on the palate. The price difference is big. I think 25 now is retailing around that $900 mark on average. Obviously dependent state by state, and how good a friend you are with your local retailer. The 30-year-old, the last time I saw, is hitting upwards of $4,500 now. And it's purely based on the allocations that are coming in. And it's not that the company is going, let's play diamond theory. It's just a lot of our liquid is going out to other markets now. China is a huge demand market for luxury spirits, and especially things that are singing true to that sherry mark. Point in case is the fact that Glenfiddich has a secret 22-year-old. I say secret; it's been out for about 3 or 4 years now. But that's a China exclusive.
Oh, okay.
So it's a 22-year-old Palo Cortado sherry cask finish.
That sounds fun.
It's stunning, but near enough to impossible to get your hands on. But really decadent juice. But it was for them because of the palate that's out there. And that, I believe, when I looked at it, the price point on that is more than the 26-year-old from Glenfiddich. Okay. So it's just supply and demand coming into play.
There you go.
That's a personal thing in my opinion.
Yeah, I was like, that's totally subjective.
Yeah. Price points, I guess, because we're getting close to having to start. On the price conversation, when I first joined the company, I went to Malaysia for the first time with the business. And I was sitting at this gentleman, Sean, who owns this beautiful little bar called Kenshin in Kuala Lumpur. And I met him the night before, and this guy's a lunatic. He was drinking 25-year-old scotch out of the bottle at a distributor meeting.
My kind of guy.
Yeah, he was an absolute legend. So I was sitting with him. In 40 minutes, he pulled 9 different very expensive Japanese whiskeys out to try and be like, look at my collection. It's super cool. And door opens, regular walks in, gives him the regular nod, nods at the bartender. Bartender reaches down, pulls out a bottle of Balvenie 30-year-old and puts it on the bar.
Sweet.
I was like, great. You know, the man's knocked off from work. It's Tuesday afternoon at 4 p.m. enjoying himself.
Yeah.
Glencairn goes down, and then a tall glass filled with ice goes down, and I hear the very distinctive snap of a can opening up. And he's poured a dram of this 30-year-old into his Glencairn, doused about a double ounce into the ice tall glass, and then he's drowned it out with Mountain Dew.
Oh my God.
And I looked and had one of those,
Wow.
what are we doing moments. Slid over to him with a little bit of Japanese liquid courage at that point. And I said, hey, man. He's like, Mountain Dew, right? I was like, Mountain Dew, bro. What's going on? And he said, well, Mountain Dew originally created and named because it was a chaser for shitty whiskey. You know, the kind of stuff that makes your spine crawl. When he was younger, didn't have any money. So he was only able to buy really dodgy spirits and would drown it out with Mountain Dew, and has this nostalgic flavor for him. And it's probably the most humbling sentence anyone's ever said to me. He said, this bottle for me is like you buying Glenfiddich 12. And he said, I've been very successful, very fortunate. And, you know, I appreciate the whiskey and the Glencairn for what it is, but the nostalgic property of drinking it with this Mountain Dew is just my thing. So the price point conversation for me is negligible. You know, there's people out there with more money than God that can do as they please, and they enjoy whiskey how they want. But, you know, for the normies like myself, I like to keep it pretty straightforward, unless it's obviously going in an espresso martini, apparently.
Oh, that's too funny. Well, I guess we got about an hour before the show starts here. We'll hang out and try some other whiskeys. So while we got you here, we might as well have you try that French oak Balcon as well.
Hell yeah.
So we want to see what you think of that real quick. Being that you're in Texas and it's French oak.
Yeah. What's our proof on that? Jesus.
61,
I saw it.
Yeah, 61.9. So, yeah.
All right. Strap in. Thank God I've got Uber to get me home tonight.
That's right. He's going to need it. Because the things that are going to get produced out of the bag later on, you just never know. And I know certain people that are coming are bringing crazy shit. So it should be a great time.
Dustin, yes. Made for Mountain Dew is made for bourbon, not Scotch, 100%. And he
True.
did explain that to me, and that's why it's called Mountain Dew, is the slang term for moonshine at the time.
Right.
It's just that's what he got used to drinking, because bourbon's not as available out in Southeast Asia.
True.
Crazy rums and daiquiris. If anyone had the fortunate opportunity of meeting David Allardyce, our old Glenfiddich ambassador that used to actually live in Dallas for a period, then moved out to California, but still used to come through. He and I used to sit at Permission, because Peter's a naughty boy, but a lot of fun. And we would drink Glenfiddich 21-year-old daiquiris, mostly because it would be his credit card going down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but good time.
All right, so what do you think of that? And then we'll actually try to destroy him with this 61.9.
It doesn't nose that hot.
No, it doesn't.
Which is really surprising.
They do a good job on it, but it will definitely be hotter when you try it.
What was in the French oak before it?
It's new. It was
new French oak.
Yeah,
Okay.
milk at
I was gonna say the coloring's crazy.
Yeah, new French oak. So yeah, whole time nothing. American Texas single malt.
Yeah, I've had Balcones before. Not obviously this.
Yeah, we
but,
have 75 different ones over there. So
I mean, it's delicious. It's sweeter than I was expecting.
yeah, it is sweeter, and that's the Balcones note itself. But they're still making it sweeter.
Dustin, I'm seeing that comment. That is what we wanted from the French oak. If that's the case, you should try and find that 18-year-old Curious Cask Balvenie, because it's a lot denser, a lot sweeter, more like Christmas cake kind of profile in there.
Or you could just take some of this and blend it together. Problem solved. See, now you're fine.
Wait, McAllen does whiskey and sherry? What?
Shocking. Well, they say they do, at least.
I'll be honest. I'm not a big sort of bourbon and rye guy anymore. I used to work years and years ago in Australia for the Sazerac portfolio, and kind of ride myself to death.
I bet you do.
To the point that often it gives me really wicked heartburn, but that is really gentle.
Yeah.
Really soft.
Yeah, it's good old Texas for you. Plus, it's barley, so you're in good shape.
Wait, Texas is soft and gentle.
Yes. this version of it is. There's ones that are like 69. This one's only 61. Stick shoulder. Might happen, Sugar Cuddy. You just never know. But we won't talk about
I
that.
said nothing.
That's right.
Actually, here's a fun story for you. I was chatting with Dennis McBain, long-running head coppersmith at the distillery. So Dennis still works for us part-time. He only does about 50 days a year now because he's 84, 85.
Oh, okay.
But he just loves it.
That's cool.
So he joined us back in 1958 and still runs around the distillery.
That's awesome.
So I was chatting with him. Actually, it was my induction. We bumped into him, and he spent about 6 hours with us, which was brilliant. You can't find anyone better because he's been there so long that he's seen everything get built.
Really, really cool.
So he was telling us the story that I believe it was Sandy Gordon. It was either Sandy or Charles, who were the two brothers these are the ones that brought Glenfiddich to the US for the first time. And he was chatting with one of them, and they said, did you wash your car today? And keep in mind, Dennis is a tradesman. You know, his car's full of shit. It's just tools and scrap metal and the whole thing. And he's like, why would I wash my car? It's going to get dirty instantly. I'm going home in my, coveralls. And they said, all right, here's a $5. Go down the road, get your car washed. It's like, all right, weirdos. Disappears down, comes back, car's all sparkly and new. And it's, 1960s Opel hoopty beat up self. This in the mid 80s. He says, all right, wash my car. Now what? And he goes, get in. We're going. And I was like, where are we going? So we're going to go up to McAllen. And so Dennis thinking to himself, all right, the boys at McAllen need some help. They've had a truck breakdown or, something's going on with the stills. They need my expertise in metalworking. He says, what are we doing? This happened. They said, no, we're going to go buy it. And so Dennis kind of looked at him like, what do you mean? So sure enough, they drove across the river and up to McAllen, walked in there, had the lawyers out. So yeah, we're good. Everything's fine. Yep. Cool. Contract signed. Lawyers are here. Yep. Perfect. Pulled out a check, handed it over, and bought 30% of the McAllen distillery. So my boss likes both brands either way because they're doing well for him.
Yeah, but alrighty then.
Yeah, it must be nice.
Yeah,
McAllen or Edrington rather, being the trust.
Right.
Diageo's got a 35% stake in him. The family's got a 30% stake in him. So a lot of those that are actually in competition with him. McAllen gets a lot of hate. I think they have a really important place within the whiskey world.
Sure.
They elevate what all the rest of us have the opportunity to do because our brands look and go, oh, damn, now they've got the Rocket Brothers that have a full-time restaurant at the distillery, 200 years, and they've got Cirque du Soleil building an entire thing just for the distillery experience. Cool. Like, it's they've got an important mark. Is every bottle they release my favorite? No, I'm not spending that kind of money on a 12-year-old, let alone whatever else they're doing with the city releases and all that.
Yeah,
but
you should pretty spectacular back in the day, but that's the story.
Yeah. What I will tell you, though, is their whiskey's delicious when it's given to you for free.
Absolutely. It's
highly recommend that experience.
Oh, we have someone here that's just ridiculous.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a great perspective. I used to deal with a lot of their customers out in Southeast Asia, and you started to see a few of them turn, and the rest of them were just buying it for the clout.
Yeah, oh, for sure. There's no doubt about it. It is what it is. Oh, well.
100%.
All right, anybody else have any other questions? Otherwise, we're going to sit here and hang out and drink some more whiskey. And I know we might give them some more balconas and other cool shit while he's here.
I still have to host the thing later, right?
You do. That's not for shit. Your part doesn't start for 2 more hours. You're fine. Plus, we're pouring this much.
Like if I 100% agree.
Oh, yeah, agree.
Balcones 1.
Oh, yeah, so this is the very first single malt that Balcones made.
Cool.
It's very good. Yeah, they want you to try Mirador and Lineage as well. So basically, they just want you to try a fuck ton of Balcones.
Yeah, so you guys are just trying to get me lit.
I mean, they're not wrong. I mean, it will do the job.
I should have worn. I got my very first pair of cowboy boots last night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I should have worn those. Every time I was saying to our Texas team that every time I come out, they end up being one of the only markets that gives me things. Usually, it's me coming in and just getting worked into the ground and then jumping on a flight and going home.
We're very generous giving people.
I knew it was coming, and so I actually had to fly with a bigger bag than I normally do. Oh, jeez,
it's hysterical.
5%. Completely disliked it. Okay.
I mean, we can make it happen, Dustin. It's not a big deal. Hey, Eric, will you grab a 1 real quick from Balcones?
I don't know how you guys keep track of where everything is in here.
Memory. Which one is it? The Balcones 1. The regular Texas 1.
Oh, that whole shelf is Balcones.
That whole thing's Balcones, yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it might be a bit of a... And then, in fact, the shelf below, it's also Balcones.
Damn. And then, is it Garrison?
There's a little bit of Garrison up in there. There's a little bit there. There's a bunch of... Crowded Barrels, one on, and so, huh? You can't find the Texas one. Just the regular standard single malt. I know there's 10,000 other things in there. He's like, there's too many single malts, and that is the problem. There's a tremendous amount of them. There's like the Shiner Bock version. There's a St. Arnold's version. There's all sorts of like rum finishes and other wild crap in there. So you just never know.
So American whiskey and Scotch whiskey aside, what's the most interesting New World whiskey you've come across?
In like a weird way, like weird shit, or a good way?
That's up to interpretation, my friend.
I mean, there's a lot of weird shit out there, like
like Floki.
Floki's some weird shit for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the freaking Ballers from St. George shit's weird.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool. The Pine Barrens from Lounge Spirits is cool. I think it's weird now. As far as weird goes, like really great. I mean, stuff from like Lacona's, Virginia's, Cedar Ridge, Westland, Santa Fe. Those are all really good ones.
Yeah.
Straight hands.
I'm really curious to try. Brookletti's just released their rye.
Oh, I saw that. You know what? We can get Andy to bring us one. That's all. Does anybody have that? We need to get Andy to bring us one of those ryes when he comes up here.
Just say Kavalan.
I do like that.
Kavalan's a weird distillery in general.
It's freaking awesome whiskey.
Yeah, it runs super hot.
It's so fucking
but it's just because it's so young.
Right. It's so good.
My old housemate in Singapore, this little Romanian lad, Bogdan, started dating this Taiwanese lass, Brittany, when we were out there. And we used to party pretty hard in the house that I was in. It was 6 stories, and there's 5 of us in there. We got locked in during COVID. And any excuse was a good reason to crack something open.
Absolutely.
She would never sit and drink with us. And she'd come down and tear his head. Oh, you're always drunk, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, fast forward, they moved to Taiwan because he wanted to continue his studies into speaking Chinese. And Brittany messaged me like 4 months later and was like, guess what? I was like, what? She's like, I'm the global ambassador for Kavalan now. I was like,
oh,
what?
My gosh.
So I've bumped into her a couple times. She's come through the U.S. I met up with her when we were out in Bangkok one year. But I saw her last year at Whiskey Live's 20th anniversary in Paris. Cool. And so she was tasting me on some really cool, like, unreleased stuff they had over. But the thing that shocked me the most with Kavalan was we were chatting about just some of the technicalities. Because I've been to the distillery. And it was super cool before they shut it down to anyone that has an affiliation to a supposed competitor product. The fact that their angel share is 17% is unbelievable. Like, what's the crazy? You're kind of just throwing your whiskey away, which is why they capture it so young. But it's so bright. Big fan, really big fan.
Yeah, you don't ever send her our way. We'd love to have Kavalan.
Well, she just resigned. But when the replacement comes, I'll let you know.
He gave me a story. Get our hopes up. I was like, it's one of our favorite whiskeys.
No, when
everybody that worked with them.
Once they find the replacement, which I believe they're hiring, if anyone wants to move to Taiwan and speaks decent enough, variations of Chinese.
There you go.
I believe they speak Hokkien or Hokkien in Taiwan, but you'll have to do Mandarin and Cantonese as well.
Yeah, I know nothing about it.
But when I find out who it is, I'll make sure that you guys are on radar because their juice is amazing.
Absolutely. Just stick in the back.
So this is
in the backpack.
We're on this guy.
Yeah? Yes.
63. See what y'all are doing. I'm just trying to sneak up on me with the percentages.
That's right.
Yeah, deep breaths when you go anywhere near the Kavalan distillery for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, the favorite has like the Vino Barrique is my favorite that I've had from them. I think it's ridiculous.
I see that comparison with the French. This is definitely hotter on the chest.
Oh yeah, for sure. You're right. 6160 is the lower of alcohol. That's true. You're not wrong.
So normally, I think that it's unnecessary to go this high in ABV, but that's just because for Scotch we don't do it. So my palate's no longer used to this. I remember I think the first proper overproof. And this is back when I was in Australia, so we don't have anywhere near the selection that you get out here. Sure. But I remember trying the George T. Stag and being like, "What are we doing? Like, too hot, too aggressive." I think one of those is up to like 68% or 71% or whatever it was that year.
Yeah, I think this year's released something like that too.
They're big dogs
this year. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. The Balvenie Single Cast are hot. They can get some. I've got some of those. Those Pullman car series definitely get hot.
They're 65 in Glen. I don't know. I get it. They're out there. It's just
I've got some of those too. Yeah,
for us to get our hands on something that's that higher proof,
it's very rare.
It's super young because our ABV drops every year that we've got in cask in comparison to US, which yours goes up.
Right.
So again, it depends on what you're looking for. If you want a young, volatile, very distillery character forward, we can do it.
Yeah.
I've had a Balvenie 6-year-old.
Interesting, I bet.
It was interesting. In fact, I'll have to show you the photo later on.
All right.
There's an amazing bar in Paris in France called Golden Promise.
Yeah.
You might have heard of it. So it sits below a La Maison de Whiskey store. And we went down there and I was chatting with one of the guys and was like, it's interesting. You don't see a lot of those older generation, like, late 1970s. He says, "You think that's older generation?"
Yeah.
And he pulled out, and it's this green cylindrical bottle, very different to what we have now, kind of leaning a little bit more towards like an Ardbeg shape, lighter green glass. But he showed me so I had like this neck sort of ribbon label that sat here. It's a 6-year-old, and it says specifically made for ladies. It was released in 1966, and so the idea of discrimination for who you were going to be selling to and all that didn't exist. But again, super volatile. They'd obviously cut that with water because it was really soft. But unlike any Balvenie I'd had before.
I bet. That's wild.
See, I enjoy like the tasting experience of something like that.
Sure.
It's not a whiskey I'm going to sit down and actually
drink.
Right,
because it's too. Yeah, I don't need a dram of it.
Yeah, and also because
small amounts perfect.
Well, my Australian side likes to drink that way, and so that's why we throw things at people.
Well, there you go.
It's how a pint glass becomes a bit of the arsenal.
There you go.
Launched across the bar.
Exactly. All right. Well, we're going to introduce him to other things here and let him take a break before all the fun begins. So appreciate it, guys, and we'll be back on Saturday doing a coffee and whiskey blending class. So that should be a blast, and we'll see you guys then. This was awesome. Thanks very much.
Cheers, gang.
Cheers.